fun game to play. Today, I would love to share with you guys a story of how I got promoted to management, as well as some of the challenges and the successes that I enjoyed. From one particular story, which was a failure, but also a success. And from this story, I gathered some tips that I would love for you guys to take away with you. Those tips, just in advance, are bond with your staff, motivate your staff, and creating better and appropriate communication channels. There will also be a little bit of a quiz at the end to see if someone can remember all of those 3 points. Let's get started. I would love to take you all back to 1993. I was born. I am one of 9. Mum, Dad, 4 brothers and 2 sisters. Now in this talk, I'd love to talk about communication with your staff as well as goals. But it starts right back at the beginning. So as I grew up on a massive farm with my brothers and sisters, it was like a big playground. Absolutely loved my childhood. I couldn't have asked for a better one. Back in the 1990s, does anyone know what the payout was for a milk solid within the dairy industry? Anyone? Had it? 350? It was about 350, 250, around. It was very, very low. So do you think my family could afford a babysitter for 7 children? Nuh-uh. We had to go to work with Mum and Dad. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. We would help Mum feed the calves. She would put the calves on the teat, get them feeding, and she'd have 7 dwarfs getting the calves up, waking them up from their sleep, bringing them up to the feeder, and then she would put them on the teat, and we would go and bring all the calves up. We really worked together and created a family goal, and we communicated really well together. We would help Dad put up the fences. So Dad would wind up a reel. We're going to feed the cows. Let's say we're going to give them 10 kgs of grass, so we're going to give them half a paddock, not a whole paddock. And then he'd have 7 dwarfs follow behind him, putting a standard in the ground each. A job that would take 1 person 5 minutes, took 8 people half an hour. But it didn't matter. It's because we worked together. We had the same goal, and that was to be able to feed the cows, to then get the milk, to send to the factory, to then get the money to feed us at the end of the day. Same goal, and we all communicated really well together. On top of that, we all had our own little goals within the big goal. It could be that my brother had to go feed the dogs before going to school. It could be that my other brother had to make 7 lunches for 7 children before we went to school. Or we had to feed the lambs, the pigs, what have you. We all had roles, so we're all learning, we all had goals, and we all communicated really well together. However, when I turned 8, those goals, the communication disappeared. The farm was sold and we moved to the city. We dropped our bags, looked around, and we were like, what is this? I do not remember voting on this decision. Communication out the windows, goals out the windows. One by one, we started peeling out of school. We absolutely hated the city, all of us. We hated it. We're from a farming background, that's where we belong. I have a question for you guys. Who here loved school? High school in particular. Who here hated school? Super pride. I'm in the second boat with you guys. I, with a passion, hated school. Oh my god, I hated school so much. Primary school was fine. You just play games and then you go home. High school, however, I absolutely was just terrible at it. I was an below average student. I failed most of my classes, and I wasn't allowed to do some of the maths topics or the science topics because I just wasn't that smart. I absolutely hated being there. So I got really annoying. I would annoy the teachers. I would turn up for class late. Sometimes I wouldn't turn up for class. I just couldn't stand it. I would interrupt when the teacher's speaking. I just absolutely hated my time at school. Communication gone. Goals gone. There's nothing there. So when I turned 16, I was like, Yep. Drop kick, yes. Anything else? Loser. I know you don't want to say it. Drop kick, loser, failure. What an idiot. Man, is she stupid. But I have a very successful mindset, meaning that my brain will do whatever it needs to do to get me out of a situation I don't want to be in and put me back on path to be successful. I was never meant to be at school. Not for me. Brilliant school, but not for me. I said to my brothers, can I come farming with you? I'm sick of the city, I hate it here. I want to go back to what I used to do. So I went farming with 3 of my brothers. Season number 1 with my brothers, brilliant. Goals are back, communication's back, let's get this going. I had created some very specific goals to prove to the world that I'm not this failure that everyone thought I was going to be. I said to my brother, I would like to be managing at a very young age, just to prove to everyone I have what it takes to do this. Season number 1, they taught me everything that they could teach me. Drive the tractors, everything in the cow shed, feeding cows, fixing things that I had broken, driving all of the vehicles. Absolutely loved it. And guess what? That student that failed in school started studying. Why do you think that may be? What's the difference of failing in school, hating study, to then studying where I liked it?
Found your why.
Found my why, my passion. I wanted to do it, so I'm going to do it. I started at level 2 and I built my way up to level 5 production management through primary ITO agriculture. Season number 2 came along. I had a boss. She was about this tall. We did not get along. Do you know why? She was there to squash my goals. Communication, out the window. Goals, out the window. Guess what I did? I got annoying. I would turn up for late. I would turn up for work late. I would actually turn up hungover. Didn't care. I didn't care. I'd give her attitude and I just didn't want to be there. She was there to turn me into a robot, just to milk. Literally, this is what she wanted me to do all day. Oh, I'm going insane now. So, what do I have to do? Get out of the situation. This is destroying my goals to success. I lasted about 4 months there before quitting. I couldn't stand it there. Her telling me what to do, her telling me not what to do. If you can't do that, you're too young. If you can't do that, you're too young. If you can't do that, you're too young. I've already done all of those things you said I couldn't do this season before. I had to go, I had to get out. I rang my brother and said, hey, how's your job going? He said, it's going really good, I'm loving it. Can I please talk to your boss? Does he have a job? He's like, I don't know, you can talk to him. Hey, Mr. Boss Man, can we have a chat? He's like, yeah, sure, what about? Farming, let's talk. I had created a fake interview for a job that didn't exist. All I wanted to do was just communicate with him, share with him my goals, and let's see if they were in line with his goals. 2 days after that fake interview, I got a job offer. I did, however, secretly know that the other worker wasn't doing very well. 2 weeks after that 2 days, I started employment. Communication back, goals are back, we're on the road for success again. Loving it, yes. Started working my butt off, carried on with my study, started up level 3, level 4, level 5, additional courses as well. Absolutely loved it. We had good communication and we had personal goals, my goals, his goals, and then the business goals, and they all fit so well together. He mentored me, probably similar to this mentoring program, one-on-one, in teams, going out and doing study, and that way I grew to management. Within about 4 years of working with him, in my management team. I had 5 staff. I had 3 part-time, whether they were car ferries, tractor drivers, or relief milkers. I had 2 full-time staff where I could teach and mentor and create goals with them and communicate and teach them everything that I know. And then there was me, in charge of it all. I absolutely loved this experience. So those are some of my successes. But with success comes failure, doesn't it? One challenge I struggled with within farming was this. I'm a girl. I'm 21. I'm a young female in a male-dominant world. It did not quite go down so well for many people. In the dairy industry, we work with a lot of foreigners. There's people that have come from other cultures and other parts of the world where unfortunately gender equality doesn't exist. There's cultures where females, no, they're down here, males are up here, it's just nature. So when I had worked with some of these staff members, they really struggled to listen to me just because I'm a girl, just because I'm a female. It's not that I didn't know what I was talking about, it's just they struggled to give me that respect to get the job done. So that was a bit of a communication challenge for me. Oh, and another one, which will lead me nicely onto a fun story, is the partners of my workers. Woo! They could not handle that I was a female also. Here's the story that led me to a failure, but such a big success. Does anyone here know what fodder beet is? Has anyone heard what fodder beet is? No? Yeah? Yeah? Exactly, well done. It is a crop. It's a big bulb. It can be this big, and it grows in the ground, and it's a crop, and it's got a leaf. It's basically 1,000 Mars bars in a bowl. It's just sugar. It's just sugar. This crop is fantastic for putting weight and condition on your cows during winter before calving. However, it is a very, very delicate crop. If you do not transition your cows correctly, you will have sick or dead animals. Unfortunately, when working with animals, you've got livestock and dead stock. It's just nature. I communicated with my staff member. I said, could you please give the cows 1.2 metres of crop? So the transition period is 2 kg every second day. You get to 7 kg and you hold it for 7 days. Then you move up 2 kg every second day till you get to 12 kg per cow of crop. Then you can give them ad-lib. Give them as much as you want. Give them the whole paddock if you want to. You wouldn't do that. You'd just break feed them nicely, but you could give them the whole paddock once transitioned perfectly. So we're about 4 kg into the transition, just started, and I was going to have a couple of days off work. I said to my staff member, could you please give them 1.2 metres of crop? Move their fence 1.2 metres. However, when I had got back from my days off, he could have heard it differently. He could have given them 2.2 metres or 3.2 metres. I would have no idea, but I came back to a lot of sick cows. He did not stick to the transition period. It doesn't matter what happened, that's all done. But we had a solution, and that was to start the program back at 2 kg again and sit with the cows. Sit. And watch them eat. We would then walk around them and check that they're all looking okay. Check, are they bloating up? Are they standing by themselves? Are they curled over? Do they look healthy? And then we'd sit again, and he'd sit with me, and we'd just have a chat about life. And then we'd stand up and check the cows again. If a cow moved away, that meant she could be ill, and we'll pull her off the crop and put her back on grass. Take her away from the risk of this delicate, dangerous crop. We literally sat in the paddock, that's all we did. But couple of days later, my boss comes banging on my door. Apparently, the girlfriend had been watching us have an affair in the paddock. I was like, what? We were watching the cows, and I'm sorry, are her binoculars broken or like something changes in between? I'm not sure. I am not sure, but she must have been watching us do all sorts of things. I'm not sure, by the way. And he came knocking on my door. What's this you've been doing with my staff members? And he tried taking my job off me. He tried demoting me. He tried kicking me out of the house. He tried taking back over again. And I said, stop. This is absolutely ridiculous. I have known you for 5 years. Employer, my boss and I had known each other for 5 years. We had known this staff member for 5 minutes. Are you seriously going to take their ridiculous word against a trustworthy employee? And I just said, stop. I'm clearly struggling with my staff, with the communication. Get me some help. Don't just take my job off me. So I put my foot down on that. He said, fine, I'll get you some help. Let's see if we can improve this together. About a week later, he put me on, have you guys heard of emotional intelligence? Yeah. He put me on this emotional intelligence course. I absolutely loved it. Oh my God, it was an eye-opener to everything that I was struggling with. It was fantastic. It was my first spark of psychology. I had finished up that season, resigned, and now I study psychology at University of Canterbury. Absolutely love psychology, and that's what I mean. We had this ridiculous story, this failure, but that turned into a success, and that's why I'm carrying on in different parts. But anyways, these are some of the key tips that he taught me. We would go have weekly meetings, just for an hour. I'd tell him some struggles I'm having with my staff, and he'd be like, maybe try it this way, or try do this, or try not do that, or say it in a different way. And we would work through these problems, and I started improving communication with my staff, and then we finally started working really well together. So remember that quiz? At the end of these 3 tips, we'll see if someone can remember these 3 tips. There'll be an imaginary chocolate fish for that person as a reward. Tip number 1, bond with your staff. Gone are the days where you just scream at your staff, demand, yell, treat them like slaves. We are moving away from that in modern times. It's as simple as giving them a compliment. Psychology says people love to talk about themselves. People love to brag about themselves. Why not let your staff talk about their weekend, talk about their family, their hobbies, what they like on the work, what they hate in the work. Whoa, you can learn so much about your staff. Then you can start to figure out if you're having any troubles with them, and you can better improve the communication and adjust the goals if need be, and then production will just be, it'll just keep increasing the more you get along with your staff. Better yet, your staff will stay because they enjoy the environment. Tip number 2. This is to motivate your staff. There are 2 ways you can do this. A, intrinsic motivation. This is internal things. This is as simple as giving them a compliment, making them feel worthwhile in your team, making them feel that they're doing really well, they're progressing, they're valued in the team. When I was doing carving, I would always buy pies because it's freezing cold, they're absolutely tired. You can buy them a pie, sit down, have a chat, talk about the day, and they feel like you care about them. Then again, they're more likely to stay in your team. B, extrinsic motivation. These are your external things, everything that's outside the body. It could be promotions, money, certificates, gold stars, bribes or incentives, physical things on the outside of the body. When I was managing, I didn't have financial control. That meant, but I did know there was a budget for study. So I knew I could encourage my staff to study. They would go to class. They would have tasks that they would have to tick off for them to get a certificate, which is the extrinsic reward. They would then come back to the farm and they would say, if I need to do these things to tick off to be able to get my qualification. That would mean we'd create goals together, we would communicate better, and I would give them tasks as I would have to. You have to be able to fix a fence, or you would have to be able to set up the cow shed, or you would have to be able to put up a fence or drive the tractor to be able to tick off these goals so you can get your reward or your certificate at the end of the course. That way, you've motivated your staff to work harder, try harder, and that boosts production. It also means that you can give them jobs so then you can go do other jobs, so that helps you with your tasks for the day as well. Tip number 3. This is communication channels. Say you're the manager. Here you have a message that you've encoded. This is what it looks like. And then you channel it over to your staff member and they receive it. But then they've got to decode it. What did she mean by this? What is this? What do I have to do? It's not always that what the manager has said to what the receiver has gathered is the same message. So the channel in between is what we've got to improve. There are 4 types of channels. There is verbal, which is just talking. There is non-verbal, which is your body language, your facial expression, your tone of voice. Are you angry at them? Are you happy? Is it good? Maybe give them this much, not this much, that's not enough. Give them this much, maybe this much. Smidge, smidge, keep coming. It's all of your body. Then there's formal, so it's writing things down, giving them notes or typing, an email, texting. It's all written down information. That's another way of communicating with them. And 4th, final, and my least favourite, informal, which is your gossip. It's a form of communication. What did they hear from someone else that then caught through the grapevine to spread on to someone else? Gossip. Try and minimise gossip. It's the most terrible sin. I hate it so much. But anyways, it's there. Got to try and minimise it, try and get rid of it. Let's give an example of how we could improve a communication channel to get a better result within your goal. Improve your communication, achieve a better goal. I'll give you an example. I had a new staff member and I asked her, have you put up a fence before, or have you taken down a fence before? She's like, yep, I've done that. So I asked her, can you please go wind up the fence? Or go wind up the reel? She's like, yep, let's go. Went along, wound up the reel, fed the cows, came back to me, here's your reel. Like, that's great. Where are the standards? She'd randomly just left the standards in the middle of a paddock. Can you see the logic? I literally told her, wind up the reel. She did exactly what I told her to. But my logic was, I would have thought she would just bring the standards with her, but no, let's just have a whole farm full of standards and just bring the reels back. But I said, she did exactly what I told her to do. She wasn't wrong. Maybe if I had improved my communication channel with her, we could have achieved a better goal. Let's rewind that and let's see if we can do it better. I asked her, have you wound up a fence before, or have you put up a fence before? She said yes. Okay, but imagine this, she could have been taught a different way on another farm. Could be different to the way or the system that I would like it to be done. So I said, I'll show you how I'll do it. Wind up the fence, grab the standard, put it under your arm, wind it up, grab the standard, put it under your arm, wind it up, grab the standard, put it under your arm. Then you've got it. Put your reel up on the hook, put your standards on the ground, job done. So if we were to go through the communication channels, she saw it verbally. She saw me She listened to me give the instructions of how I would like it done. She also caught the non-verbal, the demonstration of showing the body language. How long did it take? How many steps? Where do I put things? Where do I put this? Where do I put that? How fast should I do it? How slow should I do it? She caught all the body movements. That way, she achieved a better goal and there was better communication between the two of us. There's also appropriate times for appropriate channels. For example, I wouldn't demonstrate that every single time because I would get nothing done because I'd just be just demonstrating everything every day to everyone and that would annoy people after a while, wouldn't it? So maybe I could demonstrate the first time, but then I could change the communication channel once she's confident. Maybe I could just text her, would you please wipe up the reel? And she'll know exactly what that means. So that's a great example of how those were great tips that I learned from emotional intelligence to boost the communication, improve the goals and their outcomes, and we had such a better team. So here comes the quiz. Does anyone remember those 3 tips to take home? Yep. What's that? Yeah, motivate them. Communication channels. Well done. Good job. How big would you like your chocolate fish to be?
Very small. I'm on a diet at the moment.
Oh, you're on a diet? All right, catch. Oh, that's awesome. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, you've gone on a journey with me of where I came from, how I grew up, some of the successes, some of the failures, how I got promoted, then some more failures, which led me to more successes, led me to some great communication and goals, which were to bond with your staff, to motivate your staff, and to improve those communication channels. With these tips, I hope you guys improve your communication with your staff. Thank you.
Thanks, Eve.
Thank you.
And I think one of the key things that I was thinking about, Eve, in the last few weeks is actually is aware of what's going on. And that is the key thing in the learning sort of phase, is being aware of what's going on and knowing when you need to ask for help. That's a really, really important aspect. Does anyone have any questions for Eve? No? What about your...
So, just interested what you're doing now. Is it psychology, farming, mixture of both?
So I stopped farming completely. I completely burnt out, but I loved the psychology. So I study psychology, and the goals are potentially counselling, like mentoring. I'm going to talk with Matt about that mentoring program. I've joined the army, so I'm just a driver at the moment, but I've got psychologists in the army, so that's another really good option. I would love to have my own clinical practice for counselling, so that could be a good option as well. And as well, my partner, he does dairy farming at the moment, but he has a sheep station down south, so another option will be go down there, run the farm, study at the same time and have kids, and do it all at the same time. As well, on top of that, I'm building my own motivation speaking brand, because I've got some great stories and great experiences that I would love to teach people through the study, through the experiences and just living life. I want to amp people up and get them going and help them with their goals. So a lot going on, but it's really cool. Love it.
With the psychology, you can do psychology for parents.
That would be a really good one.
A big job.
That would be a very big subject. I would say I'm probably just going to study forever because there'll just be stuff to learn all the time. It could be that I start with a 3-year degree, go do a job and keep getting registered and keep learning, come back for my masters and do my PhD. I think I'll just forever study. Yeah, which is really cool. If you enjoy it, why stop learning? Yeah, definitely.
Anyone else? You must have fulfilled all the expectations already. Thanks for coming along. If anyone has any questions about PMI or Eve or anything else, just get hold of me, Matthew Percival. Thanks for coming in.
I'm just building my own motivation speaking brand, and I'd love for some speaking opportunities in any way possible. If anyone has any opportunities, please come talk with me at the end. I'd love to be able to speak in front of different crowds, anywhere, everywhere, about anything. That'd be great. Thank you.
Oh, good, huh? Good.